yesterday, a lady that is very well known in the community I grew up in. She was also a member of my father's church when my dad was alive in the 90s, and stayed a member until that church closed. Matter of fact, at one time, the church was looking for a place to worship, and she opened the doors of her place so they could have service for a little bit of time. She had a business back in the 80s and 90s, probably the 70s too, I'm not sure. She was a hairdresser, so she had her own salon for years. So she was very well known in the city. And yesterday, her place caught fire, and she ended up being trapped inside, and she died. A lot of my childhood, a lot of memories. Her son was one of my spiritual mentors back in the 90s. He's since passed as well. One ongoing theme in my life is, I guess I'm not the only one, because, we're humans and people die all the time. No one lives forever, so we all experience death at some point in some kind of way. But in my life in particular, it seems like a lot of good, important people die. And she lived a long life, but she wasn't healthy. I think she was handicapped. She wasn't mobile. So there was other people in the house with her, but they got out and she didn't. Another thing to point out is that the fire department, there's two fire departments nearby. There's two firehouses nearby, less than a mile from the area where the fire broke out. And there's video online basically showing the flames engulfing the building, and there's nobody here for minutes. And literally there's two firehouses on both sides. Now the thing about this place is it sits on the city line. There's two towns, both towns I lived in. So there's a fire station in the town, there's fire station in the other town, but they're both less than a mile away from the house. What struck me is that I don't care what city it was in, there was a fire engulfing a building for several minutes, and nobody got there in time to at least attempt to rescue, or there's no way that the flames should have been as out of control as they were. So that's a whole nother story. I hope there's an investigation. I don't know. I haven't seen the official news story about it. I've only seen videos on social media where people are like, where's the fire trucks? There's like two firehouses nearby. Why is this happening? There's a person in there and nobody's there to help them out, help them get out. But anyway, as I was saying, it's like an ongoing theme. It feels like in my life that important, good people are dying tragically. Tragic deaths. I'm not talking about normal natural deaths. I'm talking about tragic deaths. Deaths with sickness, disease, accidents, fires. Those kind of deaths. Not like you lived your life and you died naturally. No, like people dying in like ways you don't want to die. Which begs the question, for me anyway, why does God let the good people die tragically? This God that's supposed to heal and save and deliver and set free and change minds, where is the God that protects good people? And I've been struggling with my faith for like really bad, like within the last 6 or 7 years, especially after the pandemic. And especially how I see how Christians are latching on to a man with the spirit of the Antichrist, Donald Trump. And I'm like, how could Christians, and a lot of the white preachers I've been watching for a long time, I used to watch TBN, the Trinity Broadcasting Network, and Daystar. I used to watch those channels a lot. And like to see people like Kenneth Copeland, and I know he's a prosperity preacher and a lot of people already thinks he's a crook, but I was watching him. I was okay with the prosperity doctrine. I think people should be prosperous. I think people should be prosperous. We shouldn't be running around here being broke. But the prosperity teaching is a lie too, because 9 times out of 10, people amass huge amounts of wealth by stealing and being crooked and amassing this money in evil ways. I just found out, like, for instance, that the person behind the book Think and Grow Rich, not the author, Napoleon Hill, the supposed story was that Napoleon Hill was hired by the richest man of his time to go do research on how people can get rich in America. What are the success factors that help a person become prosperous? And it ends up that the person that commissioned this study was a person who he worked hard, yes, but he didn't get rich through just like working hard. He also got rich by working off the backs of laborers who were being treated badly, who were getting killed over injuries at his factories, labor riots, and all this other kind of stuff. Did insider trading to get millions of dollars, was buying up little companies and monopolies or whatever. I just learned this like yesterday, and I'm like, wait a minute. So Think and Grow Rich is a piece of propaganda to make rich people look good? That blew my mind. I'm like, whoa, so Think and Grow Rich is like a lie. Because like what you have to understand, that a lot of these rich people, these billionaires, they're not making money. Well, not all of them, But most are lying, thieving crooks. And that's how they make their money. Insider trading and whatnot. And so, now I'm looking at even the prosperity gospel and people like Kenneth Copeland and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my goodness. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole I'm not going to go into. But I see people who I watched for years, like Kenneth Copeland and some others who are like, think that Trump is like some kind of messiah. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This guy lies more than he changes underwear. He can be in a news conference and literally lie like 20 times in a news conference. He be double talking, like contradicting himself, all in the same speech, all within like 1 or 2 minutes. He's lying. Like a reporter asked him, so you think it's okay for people who beat cops on January 6th to get paid from this $1.6 billion slush fund you started? And he lies immediately. Oh, I know nothing about it. I don't know anything about it. But yeah, they were treated badly. They deserve it. They deserve to get paid. Mind you, black people endured like 300 years of slavery. Indigenous people endured killings by the colonizers for almost 300 years. Didn't get any reparations. But people who beat cops and tried to do a coup and commit an insurrection for 6 hours get paid $1.6 billion? And y'all tell me there's not enough money for universal health care? Y'all tell me there's not enough money to feed the poor? Y'all tell me there's not enough money to house people who are homeless? We don't have enough money for social safety nets, but we have enough money to give a Trump supporter who gouged out cops' eyes, who took off cops' fingers, who beat cops with Trump flags on January 6th, they can get payment for their pain and suffering? And then the IRS turns around and says the Trump family is barred from any audits by the IRS. In the meantime, me, a person who only makes at my job $70,000 a year, have to pay $30,000 in taxes? My wife and I's income combined is like $170,000, but we have to pay $30,000 in taxes? But he's barred from audits? Okay. People that are evil like Trump, people that are a demonic force. Trump is the devil. People like him, who's evil, ruthless, a child rapist, a liar, a schemer, a con man, even a murderer. He's a murderer. He was out there bombing fishing boats in the Caribbean, talking about they had drugs on them. They were fishermen. People have already come out to say these people had no dealings in transporting drugs. They were simply fishing. That was their livelihood. That was their job. They were simply working on the seas to catch fish and bring it back to sell it on market. And he's bombing fishing boats. Trump is a murderer. He's a rapist. He's a liar. He's a thief. And yet he gets to wake up every morning and live. If anybody should be dead, it's that asshole. How is God preserving the life of the devil? And good people are out here dying tragically. If anybody should die tragically, it's Donald Trump. Not good people like Miss Lucy, who couldn't get out her house and got burnt up in a fire. couldn't get rescued because she was immobile. She did a lot for the community. People on that video that was on Facebook that I saw, they knew who she was. She was like, oh no. They was like, oh no, not Miss Lucy. Oh no, not Miss Lucy. She's done so much for everybody. Oh no, not Miss Lucy. But yet, people evil like this motherfucker, Donald Trump, get to live every day. Where is this God that protects the people who do good? My dad died when I was 15 years old, 1993. 9/11, 1993. He passed away in a car accident. This man was a crusader for Christ. He was out there witnessing. We had a spare bedroom in our apartment, by the way, which burnt down. The apartment that we lived in burnt down. In our apartment, we had a spare bedroom. My dad would put up the homeless in that spare room and take care of them until they could get on their feet. He would go out there and look after people. He would go out there if they were struggling with addiction. He would go in the drug houses and get them out of there. He was like, nah, you can't stay here doing this. You can't stay here doing this. I'm bringing you to rehab today. You're not going to be here like this. He was a man of the people. He had so much favor in the sight of the politicians that he was able to go to the city sheriff and was like, listen, can I get some prisoners out of the jail for a day to just do some community work? He was able to get prisoners out to come paint the church, clean up the grounds, clean up some areas in the community. It was in the newspapers and everything. This man did so much for the community, and then he ended up dying tragically, broke his neck in a car accident. Where is this God that protects the people, who fights for him, who goes out there and is a witness for the Lord? My dad was one of the greatest witnesses for the Lord I've ever seen in my life. I haven't seen one come like him since. I haven't seen nobody out here like my dad, how he was. Because he really had a genuine heart for the people. He was really out here trying to convert the people and get people living right and whatnot. And it was working. Some of those same people are living good, living in houses or retired, traveling the country, doing good for themselves, where they was thieves, when they was victims of recidivism, where they was just going in and out of prison, in and out of prison, in and out of prison, because they was committing crimes, because they was thieving, because they was drugging and doing all this other kind of stuff. People who had no future, my dad went out there and grabbed them and converted them, and now they're living good lives. But now this man is dead. Died tragically. I'm like, Lord, you couldn't go in there and wake my dad up before he fell asleep at that wheel and crashed? You couldn't go and wake him up and say, son, wake up. You must wake up. I'm to keep him awake till he gets home. I'm to keep him safe. This is what the church says that this God does for us. Protects us and gets in our ear and speaks to us when we need to. That's what they call the Holy Ghost. This is why I'm struggling with my faith. And yes, I still go to church. And I question it. I don't understand why. I don't understand why I still go to church. I'm a musician at a church. I still be preaching now. I got a mouth on me. I don't want to preach, but people ask me and I just do it. Because I did get ordained many years ago. I've had my preacher license since 1995. But I don't want this. I don't want it, but yet I'm still drawn to it. I don't understand it. I think maybe it's I don't know. It's part of my identity, I guess. My identity is too wrapped up in church to let it go. If I'm thinking psychologically speaking, my identity is too wrapped up in church. I'm a church boy through and through. I'm a church boy through and through, all the way. Like, my whole life is church. Like, the only music I really listen to, and I listen to all forms of music, and I think it's good to listen to all forms of music. But back in the day, I used to be so fundamentalist. I was like, if you listen to rap or rock or anything or pop, you're going to hell. I used to be that kind of person. But I got out of that a long time ago. My transformation has been slow and steady. Like, first I was like, if you do this, you do that, you going to hell. But then I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, do I want to be agnostic? Do I want to be atheist? I don't know. I'm so confused, but yet I'm still drawn to church. I still go to gospel concerts. I like the whole culture behind it. All the gospel music, that's really all I listen to is gospel music. All the new stuff that's coming out. Choirs, I like choirs a lot. Gospel music to me is some of the best music. The way the band plays, the musicality of it all, the chords and stuff, just the sound of it. I love it all. But now, when I hear some of the words that's being sung behind some of these songs, I'm like, I don't know about that. I be questioning some of the stuff that's being said and whatnot. Even the existence of Jesus and all this other kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm so confused. I'm wondering, like, I'm conflicted. I'm like, why I'm still drawn to the church after like, I know, like, this God that I prayed to for years didn't protect none of my loved ones. A lot of the great patriarchs of my family are gone, like my grandparents. My grandmother died of diabetes and got some limbs cut off before she died, and she died by herself in the convalescent home. My granddad died from cirrhosis of the liver, and yes, it was from alcohol, and I guess it's self-inflicted, but still, like, he ended up changing. He ended up what the church folk called delivered. He ended up getting delivered from alcohol and stopped drinking totally. After that, God didn't heal his body. Like, God, he stopped drinking. Heal his body. The way we tell stories about God, it's not a tough thing to fathom. Okay, after years of drinking, yes, he did damage to his liver, but he stopped drinking. He finally got delivered, and for years, he wasn't drinking no more. But he still got cirrhosis of the liver. God, you couldn't deliver him? Where's this God that delivers from cancer and heals and all this other kind of stuff? Where's that God at? And now Miss Lucy in the fire. Y'all couldn't you couldn't slow down that fire so somebody could come and rescue her? Huh? You couldn't, oh, the cops are out here. They blocked off my exit. You couldn't deliver her somehow? It's, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Well, yet I'm still going to church, and I still be preaching and stuff. I'm struggling with what kind of sermon I'm going to preach for Father's Day. Well, I'm going to preach because half of this stuff, now that I was taught all these years, I don't believe it anymore. How do I cope? How do I handle that situation? You know, somebody said on Facebook, there's this whole debate by some churchy people I know that said a lot of y'all like the quote about how God's mercy endures forever. Well, if you believe that a God whose mercy endures forever is going to send you to an eternal burning hell, you can't believe both things at the same time. You got to pick one. Either you believe he's going to let you burn in hell forever, or his mercy endures forever. And that's a good point. That's a good point. I wanted to chime in on that and be like, well, Well, then what happens to the evil people? What happens to the evil people who should die and go to hell? Are we going to share heaven with everybody? Which is a good question. Or even more, is any of it real? See, us church folk get in these debates, and I still consider myself a church person, still consider myself a Christian, even though I'm struggling with my faith. We must consider, we're having all these crazy debates about the Bible and stuff like that. Have y'all ever considered that none of it's real? I mean, think about it. We're talking about a book that was written by some human. Now, we say it's of inspiration of God and all that other kind of nonsense. You don't know that. You don't know that. Overall, a human, wrote the passages in the book. The Bible doesn't even say that an angel came down and wrote it, or God himself came down and wrote it. It says that, it's implied that men who were inspired of God wrote it. That's the proof? Because they were simply inspired of God? Well, listen, anybody can come along and say, I'm inspired of God to write this, and have. That's why you have books like the Quran, and you have the founder of the Latter-day Saints, I think, I forget his name, John Smith, I think, or something like that, wrote his own Bible. You have people writing their own Bible saying we're inspired of God. This is the word of the Lord speaking through me. And people say that now when they're writing books and doing sermons. This is the word of the Lord speaking through me. So if that's what the Bible is, right, how is that proof of God? How is that proof that anything in that Bible is true? And so at one point I was like, okay, well, then that means that I'm beyond this God of the Bible thing. I believe there's a God, but just maybe not the God of the Bible. I think there's something greater than this God of the Bible. Something that we really don't know about. Because yes, it's kind of crazy. Like, we're here in this world and everything is like, even us humans and stuff like this, like, where did we come from? How did it all start? Those are unanswered questions. And you could take the Adam and Eve account that's in the Bible, but like, come on. Because, at some point, if it was just Adam and Eve to start, then that means babies was born with some incestuous relationships with some brothers and sisters having sex to have more babies. And how is that sustainable, guys? Come on. I mean, the least the Bible could have done was say God made this group of people, about 20 people, and told them to recreate. That would have been the story. That would have been the more believable story. But it just says that there was Adam and Eve and they was told to just create. Well, if it's just Adam and Eve creating, eventually brothers and sisters would have to start having sex in order to make more babies. Come on, y'all. And see, this is the rabbit hole I've been going down for all these years. I'm like, how could this be? And now it's not making any sense to me. So it's just like I cherry pick the passages I like and stuff like that and read those and teach from that and all that kind of stuff. What am I going to do for a sermon now? Because I was asked to preach for Father's Day. And this is the kind of lady, the pastor of the church, people don't tell her no. She's just so nice and stuff. People always telling her yes. She always gets her way. And I'm a musician too. And, I'm a good public speaker. I can preach really good. So that's a talent I have. I can really preach. I get in front of people and preach. My biggest crowd is a crowd of 800 people where I preach to. So, I could do that. That's a talent of mine. Even though I have a speech impediment, I can still do that. But but yet I doubt myself with doing YouTube videos. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to speak to and make videos and stuff. But yet I could do public speaking. Doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, conflicted. But I don't know. And even the whole thing of sowing and reaping, or karma, excuse me. The golden rule: do as to others as you would have them do unto you. Yeah, I don't know if I believe that anymore. Because look, evil people are like running the country now. The country is run by rich, evil, pedophile, child eating. Yes, in the Epstein files, they were eating children and making, harvesting babies. All the stuff that we would say, oh, that's far-fetched, and you would see in the National Enquirer. You would say, oh, no, that can't be real. It's in the Epstein files of rich people using abused and trafficked young girls to make babies and harvest the perfect baby, make the perfect white child, mixed with a rich person's seed, and make sure that they're white to harvest the perfect child. We're ran by the Epstein class. Epstein was working for Israel. Israel came to Trump and asked Trump to hit Iran, and now we're in this war. This is an Epstein class war. Evil people are running the United States. The Republicans, the whole lot of them, are the enemy. The Republicans, we need to get rid of every single fucking Republican. They're all the enemy. They are the enemy of the state. You want to talk about domestic terrorism? It's the Republicans. They are a domestic terrorist party. Trump just paid his army to fight for him when he tries to take over the country. Why do you think he wants to build a $1 billion bunker? And watch this. Even Hitler had to kill himself. Nobody killed him. Hitler killed himself. Where is God now? Can you put that bug in Trump's ear to do that? Since he's the modern day Hitler? Nobody deserves it more than Donald Trump, because he's an evil piece of shit. And all the Republicans need to be taken out politically. Because they can't be trusted. They're evil. They're the devil. You want to do one party rule? It should be all Democrats running everything. Just take the money and give it to the poor. Just take it. Ignore the courts. Trump's ignoring the courts. Just ignore the courts. Just ignore the courts and do free health care. Just ignore the courts and house the homeless. Just ignore the courts and give children free lunch at school. Just ignore the courts and raise the minimum wage. Ignore the courts and do free college. Ignore the courts and wipe out the student loan debt. Do what Trump does. Just take it. Just take it. Like the rapist he is, Just take it. Because what he say? They let you do it. Donald Trump says himself, I just grab him by the pussy. I just grab him by the pussy. They let you do it. You're a celebrity. They let you do it. Democrats, just take what you want. Just take it. I don't understand how the evil and the wicked is thriving, but yet the good are out here dying. I keep on saying that. I'm losing good people in my life to tragic sickness and death and accidents. But yet we have the axis of Epstein, who raped children, who killed children, bombing boats of innocent fishermen, using the military to bomb children's schools in Iran, a school full of little girls. The United States military bombed, triple tapped, bombed 3 times a little girls' school in Iran. The military, innocent children. And Trump is still alive? God is sparing his life? But yet Miss Lucy dies in flames? Really? Good people dying. Good people dying. But the wicked just get to live. High off the hog. Stealing billions of dollars from the American taxpayers. Here I am owing taxes. I have to pay taxes to a child rapist taking the money to give it to a January 6er. Man, there is no justice, there is no fairness in this world. Even when Martin Luther King said it, that the arc bends towards justice. Man, I don't know. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. This world is wicked and evil prevails, man. Evil prevails. It's a sick world we live in. Everything is upside down. And we out here just letting it happen. So yeah, it's hard to trust in the God that let this stuff go on and don't do anything about it. In a world where the evil is prospering more than good people, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And you know, I don't need no Christians come up in here telling me how I'm wrong, how I'm going to hell, and I need to repent and all this other kind of stuff. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. None of that scares me anymore. None of that scares me, because the way I'm starting to think now, when I die, I'm just going to die. That's it. There ain't no other place. That's where I'm leaning right now. And nothing can convince me different. Because like you know, when someone said, well, God protected you, you've done well. Yeah, I've done well. Well, yeah, you protected me, but you didn't protect my father. My father was a way better person than I am. He's a way better person than I am. And he didn't get no protection. He was out here crusading for God's army. He was out here on these streets. If my father was still alive there, he would have had a mega church by now, because he wasn't playing. His membership was growing. He was getting people in that church. We was about to buy a building when he died, because the church was growing so much. We was looking for a building. We was about to buy a building. We was ready to move in. We had to take, because he didn't have life insurance, we had to take the money that he raised for the building and pay for his funeral. The down payment that was supposed to be for that church building went towards his funeral. And now the church is gone. It's dead. It's done. Yeah. Where is this God now? Didn't sustain this church. He didn't sustain this church. And a whole bunch of people that was in that church died tragically. So I don't know, man. I don't know.